Well, I don't know about you guys, but these days, whenever I see a Deathwatch list, I am automatically starting to count the Dreadnoughts. How many Redemptors and Relic Contemptors is it going to be this time? But what if I told you that in this video we are going to take a closer look at one of the walking Space Marine coffins that is neither of the two, cannot possibly be competitive? Buckle up and get ready for the return of the Ironclad Dreadnought.
Welcome to SwissHammer, your channel for modeling in Warhammer 40k. My name is Tammer and I will be guiding you through this video.
Before we dive right into the datasheet, let's first have a look at where the Ironclad Dreadnought recently reappeared in a competitive Deathwatch list. As one or the other Deathwatch veteran may have already guessed correctly, I am of course talking about Michael Costello's Deathwatch list, which he successfully piloted to rank 39 at the huge London GT Super Major, and that he also won the Factorum September GT with. I have covered this list and the mentioned tournaments in more detail in a previous video, the link is in the description. But to give a short overview, basically, the list leans heavily into infantry with multiple Proteus kill teams and some plasma units. However, what stands out in particular is the use of only a single Dreadnought and an Ironclad no less, a relic from 8th edition. Let's have a closer look at its datasheet. The Ironclad stats line can perhaps be best compared to that of the Venerable Dreadnought, as they both cost the same base points. While the VenDread is of course famous for its 2+ weapon and ballistic skill, what stands out on the Ironclad is the toughness 8. As a friendly reminder, while the popular Redemptor has an extra point of strength, it is actually only toughness 7. Toughness 8 combined with the built-in Duty Eternal and the Deathwatch's possibility to give it a 5+ symbol save from the Dominus Aegis Relic can make the Ironclad extra durable as a result. By default, an Ironclad Dreadnought is equipped with a melter gun, a storm bolter, an Ironclad combat weapon and a seismic hammer. It then gets the option to exchange this default loadout for a variety of other war gear, as well as adding the assault launchers. For those unfamiliar with the latter, you can also find these on Land Raiders or Centurions, and they enable access to a 1 CP stratagem. At the start of your charge phase, they can target an enemy unit that is not a vehicle or monster within 9 inches. That unit then gets a choice between bracing and ducking for cover. If the unit braces, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the unit ducks for cover until the end of the turn, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of models in that unit, and that unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. For his Deathwatch list, Michael Costello made the following wargear choices: exchanging the Ironclad combat weapon and storm bolter with a Hurricane bolter for an extra 5 points, exchanging the seismic hammer with a Dreadnought Chainfist. Of special note here is the Chainfist. By default, its strength times 2, -4 AP and damage 2d3. However, when attacking a vehicle model, that damage becomes a flat 6. Given the default 4 attacks and shock assault, that's absolutely nasty. With this particular loadout, the Ironclad ends up costing a very affordable 140 points, bringing it well below both the Redemptor as well as the Relic Contemptor, depending on how you value the Martial Legacy CP tax on the latter. For abilities, next to the already mentioned Duty Eternal, it also gets Wrecker when equipped with the Ironclad combat weapon, which it would not have in the above example, but anyway, this would allow hit rerolls of 1. Furthermore, it also explodes when destroyed. On a 6, units within 3 inches suffer 1 mortal wound. For keywords, it gets both core and smokescreen, potentially adding further to its durability. All in all, this makes the Ironclad a very affordable close combat oriented Dreadnought with extra vehicle stopping power. So, with the basics covered, how can we best make use of it in a Deathwatch army? As we know well by now, two potential ways for Deathwatch to make Dreadnoughts shine are the 5+ symbol from the Dominus Aegis Relic and the Teleportarium stratagem, with the latter giving them the possibility to deep strike. Both of these really combines well with the Ironclad, adding either to its already respectable durability or keeping it off the board at the beginning and then hopefully being able to deep strike it where needed and allowing that Chainfist to be put to good use. In case of Michael Costello's list, what stands out in particular is that he didn't run the Dominus Aegis, mainly because he had Proteus kill teams with storm shields already and no further dreadnoughts that could benefit from castling up under the invul bubble. However, he had a squad of Hellblasters and Plasma Inceptors, both of which greatly benefit from rerolling hits when overcharging. Having a cheap and durable dreadnought like the Ironclad is a great way to get access to a second Captain reroll aura through Wisdom of the Ancients. All that aside, the Ironclad can of course be combined with the ever popular Redemptors and Relic Contemptors for yet another version of a Dreadnought heavy Deathwatch list. Back in the earlier days of 9th edition, when the first iterations of such lists appeared, they would sometimes include a venerable Dreadnought as a ranged platform to sit in the back. The Ironclad is basically the offensive version of that. With the rule of 3 and the availability of Relic Contemptors with Volkites still being an issue, it might also be an easy alternative in case you already have one sitting on the shelf from earlier editions. While I will not go as far as speculating about whether the Volkites will survive the next FAQ release, I would at least consider the Ironclad a safe enough investment for anyone that wants to aim for a more creative Deathwatch list. Before we draw our conclusions on the Ironclad, here are some modeling recommendations. Most Deathwatch players will be familiar with the venerable Dreadnought, no small thanks to our amazing old Start Collecting Deathwatch box. Basically, the Ironclad is very similar in terms of assembly. There are 4 full arm pieces in one box to accommodate the different loadouts. Just like with the regular Dreadnought, there is no need to glue these arm pieces on the torso, they will hold on their own. This not only gives you the option to make dynamic poses, but you can also by default swap some of the loadouts. In addition to that, the rest can be made fully exchangeable through magnets and green stuff. This is especially recommended for the different close combat options. I added some venerable Dreadnought pictures for reference, but the concept is the same. To wrap things up, the Ironclad Dreadnought has been making a surprise appearance at 2 tournaments as of late, both times piloted by Michael Costello in a Deathwatch list that not only stands out from the current Dreadnought heavy meta, but also scored amazingly well at both the London as well as the Factorum GTs. While Dreadnoughts are very popular in 9th edition in general, the Ironclad stands out in particular for its toughness 8. Combined with Duty Eternal, Smokescreen and the potential access to a 5+ symbol save thanks to the Dominus Aegis Relic of the Deathwatch, it can be quite durable for its very affordable 135 base points. The Ironclad gets access to a variety of weapon options. What was played at the mentioned tournaments was the following loadout: Hurricane Bolter, Melt-A-Gun and the Dreadnought Chainfist. The latter is particularly brutal against vehicles, where the damage goes up from 2d3 to a flat damage 6. When including them in the Deathwatch, the Ironclad can benefit from the mentioned 5+ invul bubble or the Teleportarium stratagem, which enables it to deep strike. But even outside of these commonly used Dreadnought strategies, the Ironclad can also be used independently or in support of units that benefit from the hit rerolls provided through Wisdom of the Ancients. For instance, Hellblasters or Inceptors, which was the case in Michael Costello's list. This makes the Ironclad a highly flexible and affordable pick at 140 points with the previously mentioned loadout. Last but not least, I highly recommend keeping keeping the weapons exchangeable on the Ironclad Dreadnought. Very similar to the Venerable Dreadnought, the arms can be attached and reattached without actually gluing them. The base kit already includes 4 arms for the various profiles, and with the help of some extra magnets and green stuff, the kit can easily be made fully exchangeable. All in all, while Dreadnought heavy Deathwatch lists featuring Redemptors and Relic Contemptors continue to reign supreme in the tournament scene, as was recently demonstrated at the huge London GT Super Major, perhaps the Ironclad can offer an affordable alternative for people who are not overly keen on spamming Dreadnoughts and or don't want to invest into Relic Contemptors with the overperforming Volkites. So that's it for the Ironclad Dreadnoughts in the Deathwatch. Have you guys been using these yourself, or are you favoring other Dreadnoughts instead? Are you willing to give the Ironclad its comeback? Let me know in the comments. Finally, I would also like to mention that there is a SwissHammer Facebook page where I will be posting links to my videos as well as articles I find of interest. I do read a lot about the hobby, but not all of it will always end up as its own video. I look forward to seeing you there as well. I do also have a Patreon page. If you like my content, any additional support is greatly appreciated as it helps me invest into future videos. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. I hope you have been enjoying this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again and see you next time.